Player ratings then. Chelsea 2, Everton 0 at Stamford Bridge. Everton's unbeaten run ended with, a frustrating game of football, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Look, it was a poor performance. It'd be wrong of me to not say it wasn't a poor performance. The difference being today we come up against a much better side, a much better squad, a well-organised team, a team full of fantastic footballers, a team that moved the ball around really well, and a side that for me are nailed on to finish in the top four. The way in which they play, they're so difficult to score against, they're so difficult to break down, and Everton just couldn't do it today. We just weren't at the races. Frustrating thing is we had chances to get at Chelsea and we just didn't really take them whatsoever. We gifted the ball to them far too easily, and ultimately both of their goals come from defensive mistakes. I mean, we didn't help ourselves, did we? Let's get straight into it anyway. Jordan Pickford, giving him a 7.5 today. Now, let's get the negative out the way before we go into talking about Jordan's performance. Was he at fault for the penalty? Yes. He runs out. Kai Havertz is running at a difficult angle anyway. It's not like he's directly one-on-one with the goal. He's on an angle. He's got Ben Goffy sort of chasing down his neck. Jordan Pickford comes out. He rounds Jordan Pickford and he puts him on his arse. We've seen that penalty being given on a number of occasions, in previous seasons. It's probably the most likely situation to happen when a goalkeeper comes running out. We've seen it 2 weeks ago with Richarlison when he rounded, he rounded Fraser Forster. Didn't give a penalty away, but he rounded him. Fraser Forster nearly got to him, and Richarlison slotted it in the back of the net. Yes, I think he's at fault, Jordan. Could he have kept himself in the centre of the goal and maybe forced Kai Havertz to take a shot from a wide angle or try and take on Ben Godfrey? Yes, he probably could have. Does he maybe think, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try and collect the ball here because I've sensed danger? Probably, yeah. Does he give a penalty away? Yes. Is he at fault for that? Absolutely. That was the one mistake that he made in the entire game. For the rest of the game, he was absolutely exceptional. And I mean absolutely exceptional. Other than that, didn't put a foot wrong and wins my man of the match today. He gets a 7.5 from me. Made 4 of 5 absolutely fantastic saves to keep that scoreline down effectively. I mean, I would say keep Everton in the game, but we weren't really in the game at any point. Certainly not to go out and win it, but to keep the scoreline down. He made 1 at 1-0, which is a fantastic save where Alonso's running into the box and, again, he's completely left by Iwobi and Holgate, and he gets the shot off. I think it deflects off Michael Keane and Pickford gets down and makes an absolutely tremendous save. Again, going into the second half, he made 2 or 3 fantastic saves from Timo Werner towards the end of the game, albeit they wouldn't have meant anything because it was pretty much game, set and match by then, but he still stood in the way, made a couple of fantastic saves, made a brilliant double save as well, where I can't remember who it was who took the first shot, but the second one fell to N'Golo Kante, and he tipped it over the bar. Callum Hudson-Odoi had an effort where he tipped over the bar. There was a couple of headers in which he dealt with as well. Like I said, other than that penalty situation, he was very, very close to a perfect performance again by Jordan Pickford tonight. Again, for the last 3 games and 4 games now on the bounce, you're looking at Jordan Pickford as our best performer. And okay, the penalty situation, you could say, well, it might have been 5-0 if it wasn't for him, but if it wasn't for him, it might have only been 1-0 because, he gives the penalty away. And I understand that. And yes, he probably should have kept himself on his goal line and maybe just forced Kai Havertz to take the shot rather than running out and giving them the chance to go round them and win the penalty. But ultimately, like I said, in front of goal, in terms of saves, he was brilliant tonight. He was absolutely brilliant. So he's getting a 7.5. Frustrating for the mistake, and unfortunately, we know Jordan Pickford has got those mistakes in him. But again, some absolutely massive saves for me today. And it wasn't like it was an unbelievable Everton performance. And he's one player who you can say, oh yeah, he made a mistake. So he wasn't as good as anyone else. Let's be honest, everybody was pretty bad. And Jordan, like I said, for me was the best of what was a bad bunch today, and kept us in the game on a number of occasions. And without the penalty situation, it was a perfect performance again. He was outstanding today. Luca Dean, I've given him a 5.5. Again, not as great as the games whatsoever for me. Got caught out defensively on a couple of occasions. Chelsea broke through on far too many times. I mean, we just spoke about Jordan Pickford and giving him praise. It'd be very easy to look at the scoreline and look at the goals that we conceded and think, right, defensively we were quite solid tonight, but there wasn't. There was 4 or 5 chances, certainly in that second half, where Chelsea just completely played through us and they had one-on-one opportunities, and it was Jordan Pickford who kept us in the game. I thought Luca Dean got caught on a couple of times. He did put one really good ball into the box up the other end of the pitch, and there was just nobody there to get on the end of it. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had won a throw-in and just didn't get over in time. But other than that, didn't really do much attacking-wise. Defensively, wasn't great. Wasn't particularly poor on the ball, but again, I think did get caught out on a couple of occasions and made a pretty poor challenge as well when he didn't need to. He could have just stood, I think it was Reece James up, and he flies in. So 5.5 for Luca Dean today. Not his worst performance, but not by any stretch his best either. He wasn't great tonight. Ben Goffy, I've given him a 6.5. I think he was the best out of the back line, if I'm being honest with you. He scored the own goal, but it was a wicked deflection. Let's be perfectly honest. I don't think anybody is putting any blame on Ben Goffy for the first goal. It's completely the error of Alex Iwobi and Mason Holgate, and it just happens to hit Ben Goffy going into the back of the net from a Kai Havertz shot. But other than that, I think Ben was really, really solid today. I think he was, other than Jordan Pickford, that sort of last line of defence. If Chelsea were getting through, it was almost certainly they were it was going to be Ben Goffy who was chasing down the back of the net, or who was putting the burners on with that extra bit of acceleration that he had. He was winning the ball back in dangerous areas. He won a couple of challenges as well, and like I said, he didn't get caught out on many of occasions. Maybe the penalty was the only situation where Chelsea really got the better of him, but for the most part he was very, very, very difficult for Chelsea to get down his side, because he was defending so well. So he's getting a 6.5. Michael Keane is getting a 6. Again, not as great as performance today. There was a couple of occasions where, Chelsea just got in behind and Michael Keane was just nowhere to be seen. You could even argue, I suppose, for the first goal, he should be a little bit tighter to Kai Havertz. But again, not as great as performance. Defensively as a whole today, I think Everton defensively, midfield and up front were just poor in all aspects of the game. It wasn't like we were great in midfield but defence let us down, or we were great defensively but the midfield let us down. I think we were just poor in every sort of department today, and like I said, Michael Keane didn't have as great as the game, so he's getting a 6. Mason Holgate, without trying to scapegoat, is getting a 3.5. I just thought he was just really, really poor today. I mean, the first goal, I've seen it a couple of times now because it had come up on the telly showing the replay, etc., and it's abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. I mean, for as much as you can criticise Alex Iwobi, and it is Alex Iwobi's fault as well. Mason Holgate and Alex Iwobi, for large parts of that first half, you would have sworn they were handcuffed to each other because they just didn't leave each other's side whatsoever. We were playing with two right backs. We were playing with the pair of them at right back, and like I said, that first goal is just, it's atrocious. For as much as that, Alex Iwobi doesn't track his man whatsoever and just completely allows him to move in forward, inside, Mason Holgate completely runs into centre of midfield and just leaves his position. And he done that on a couple of occasions. He done that for the Alonso opportunity as well, where he just moved into the centre of midfield and didn't keep his position at right back whatsoever. And like I said, I think at times during this game we played at a 5 at the back formation, and it just does not work. We can't play a 5 at the back. Mason Holgate, Alex Iwobi, Luca Dean, Ben Goffy, even though he had a decent game today, Michael Keane, none of them, we can't play a 5 at the back. These players just don't understand how to play in that formation, and I think Mason was the prime example of that today. He was constantly caught out of possession, constantly caught with the ball at his feet, and he just didn't have a great game whatsoever. He was poor today, and probably the first Everton player who you'd look at, certainly if Seamus Coleman comes back to fitness, and you'd think, right, Seamus slots in at right back now, because he just didn't look comfortable there whatsoever. He was slightly better in the second half when we moved back to a 4 at the back formation, but still got caught a couple of times, still left that right hand side massively exposed. So Mason's getting a 3.5. Alan's getting a 6. Again, really good in spells, but in other spells he gave the ball away far too easily. He was caught in possession. I think Alan was asked to do a very, very difficult role today. We spoke a couple of months back when Alan was injured about Decore doing the Alan role, and now it's not ideal that Decore has to fill in the boots of Alan, but this was before Tom Davies had come into any real sort of run of form. Decore was probably the only player who we could have trusted in that Alan role. I think it was roles reversed today, obviously, with Abdoulaye Decore missing. We don't know what's going on with him yet. I'm sure we'll hear from Carlo Ancelotti in the coming days about that. But Alan was sort of asked to do that Decore role. He was going to be the energy in the middle, because let's be honest, Andre Gomez and Gylfi Sigurdsson don't give you any energy whatsoever. And I think he struggled a little bit, to be honest with you. I think he tired, certainly towards that second half. I think There was moments when Hudson-Odoi and Havertz and Jorginho would have the ball and they'd move forward, and Alan just simply couldn't keep up with them. And to be fair, that's not his role. Alan is usually the player who those, attacking players are running into at the back, and Doucouré's the one who's chasing them and running after them and making it hard. So Alan struggled for me today in that department. He did. There was a little, there was bits and moments where he was winning the ball back and he was getting forward and his passing was sharp, and like I said, he was winning a couple of good tackles on the edge of the area, but for the most part I think he was chasing Chelsea players, and I think that role of being that energy in the middle of the park was maybe just a little bit too much for a player who's only just coming back from a long injury out. Gomez then, I've given him a 4. Again, I don't want to scapegoat any Everton player because nobody was good enough tonight and Chelsea are just a much better side than Everton are, but what does Andre Gomez bring to this Everton team that changes games? Is he a good footballer? Yes. When we're playing well, is he out of place? No, he's decent with the ball at his feet. He holds the ball up well. He's strong. He can hold players off. But what does he bring to warrant a position starting week in, week out in this Everton team? He doesn't bring any goal involvements, merely. He had a couple a few weeks back, but other than that, he doesn't have any involvements in terms of goals. Defensively, he's a liability. Off the ball, he doesn't do enough running. On the ball, most of the time, he dilly-dallies with it and gets it, taken off him. He gives away fouls constantly. I just don't really see him as an asset in this side at the moment. And again, that's not to go into Andre Gomez and to scapegoat him because, like I said, we'll get into Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison in a moment, but Mason Holgate was awful today. Don't think Sigurdsson done much. Iwobi was dreadful. But Gomez, for me, just... Again, it's another performance where you're looking at him at the end of it and you're thinking, what have you brought there that warrants a start on Saturday? For example, if Andre Gomez starts on Saturday against Burnley, albeit I understand we've got injuries and Doucouré might, be out and Alan mightn't be ready and James might still be out. I understand that, and I understand that, Carlo's got his hands tied behind his back a little bit with injuries, but if Andre Gomez starts ahead of like a Tom Davies, for example, on Saturday, I'm scratching my head because I don't see what he brings to this Everton team that we desperately need. I think he got better as the game went on. I think in the second half he looked a little bit more comfortable, but still, wasn't involved whatsoever, to be honest with you. And again, I don't know with Andre Gomez. I think it might be a case of being a squad player, maybe coming off the bench every now and then, but certainly not a starter in games against sides like Chelsea, who were just light years ahead of us today. Sigurdsson then, I'll give Gylfi a 6. I think he tried on a couple of occasions to work the ball through. He was trying some nice passes, he was trying to get the ball into the right area, but it just wasn't coming off for him overall. Like I said, I think we were abysmal in every sort of part of the game today, other than goalkeeper, and even Jordan made a mistake. Defence, I think, was really poor. Midfield was really poor, and attack was really poor. And like I said, I think Gylfi Sigurdsson tried today. He won the ball back on a couple of occasions. He actually threw himself in to a couple of 50-50 challenges as well, which was a little bit surprising. But again, just wasn't in the game whatsoever in terms of creativity. Couldn't get anywhere near creating anything for Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison. And as much as he worked hard and he was all right, he wasn't effective whatsoever. So he's getting a 6. Iwobi, 3.5. Again, same rating as Mason Holgate. Just... It's his second game on the bounce now where he's been given an opportunity with the likes of James being out, and I think even he was preferred over Sigurdsson against West Brom last week, midweek. But again, it's 2 games on the bounce where he's done absolutely nothing. Defensively, he was a liability today, absolute liability. Like I said, he may as well being sat next to me on the couch because he left his man on about 4 or 5 occasions to just walk through and create an opportunity. And going forward, other than that one run in the last 30 seconds of the first half where he worked the ball through to the middle and got it to Dean, I think, who put a decent ball in. Other than that, he didn't do anything whatsoever. He doesn't run a plays, he doesn't take anybody on, he gets the ball caught in between his... He's good with the ball at his feet, Iwobi. He's good, consoling the ball and getting out of dangerous situations, and we've seen that towards the end of the Southampton game where he come on with 5 minutes to go and he just held the ball up really well. He's good at doing that. He's good at ball control and getting himself out of tight areas, but when it comes to final product and running a plays and putting a cross in or getting a shot off on goal, again, he just doesn't do enough. He's just not effective. And I feel like that's the issue with this Everton team at the moment, is that we've got a lot of players in there that are good with the ball at the feet and that are, decent control and that can widen their way out of a difficult situation or hold the ball up. But realistically, when it comes to goals and assists and involvements and getting in the game and bringing other players into the game. They don't do anything. Iwobi, decent footballer with the ball at his feet, not effective. Andre Gomez, decent footballer, not effective. And that's, I think, the issue is when you're starting with a team of 11 players and 2 or 3 of them are not effective, you're going to be very difficult to win games, especially against a side like Chelsea, who have got 11 effective players on the pitch. But again, Alex Iwobi for me just not effective whatsoever today. Really poor. 3.5. Richarlison, I've given him 5.5. Wasn't in the game. Did have a couple of chances to run at Chelsea and just didn't, sort of wasn't on it today. He had one where he was slotted in and he literally only needs to take a touch past Christensen and he doesn't. Christensen knocks it. Within his path, and Richarlison, I think, just stopped his run after that. Worked hard, to be fair, battled, won the ball back, shielded it well on a couple of occasions, got himself involved in the game. He was a lot more involved than Dominic Calvert-Lewin was, but ultimately just wasn't what he has been in recent weeks today, certainly not in terms of dribbling, and I don't think he had a shot on goal, didn't really have many opportunities either, to be fair, so he's getting a 5.5. And Dom, again, another extremely frustrating day at the office for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's getting a 5 today. Not much to say, to be honest with you. Did he touch the ball more than 10 times? I don't know. Look, his work rate is, again, I say it every week, his work rate's difficult to be matched. He runs around, he gets himself involved, he wins the ball, he jumps up for every header, but realistically, again, he had very little around him today. He had nobody creating for him. We hardly had a touch of the ball anyway, and Dom may as well have just not been on the pitch, to be honest. In fact, I'd have probably rather Dominic Calvert-Lewin not been on the pitch, because he's going to be more use against another difficult team to beat on Saturday in Burnley than he was today. He was just, again, non-existent. Do we put that specifically down to himself? No, but I'm not going to sit here and go 9 out of 10 because nobody passed to him, so he didn't do anything wrong. I probably had more touches of the ball sat in ours watching on the couch than he did. Onto the subs then. Davis, giving him a 6. Come on, got involved with the odd challenge, flicked the ball back nicely for Bernard, who lashed it into our back garden. Towards the end of the game, wasn't massively effective, but again, come on and allowed the different change of system, allowed us to revert back to a 4 at the back, which was so much needed, but ultimately didn't do much in terms of effectiveness of getting forward. So Tom's getting a 6. I don't particularly put that down to him either, to be honest with you. Josh King, 5.5. Again, nice to see him for 15 minutes rather than 10 minutes tonight. Won the ball back a couple of times, moved forward, dribbled it well, showed that he's got good ball control and he can actually keep hold of possession well, but ultimately coming on to change a game, he didn't change the game, he didn't do anything, so he's getting a 5.5. And Bernard is getting a 5, very similar to Josh King. Difficult for Bernard to come on and change the game when we were so poor and we didn't have much of the ball whatsoever. Had one shot, which, like I said before, landed in our backyard. A couple of times when he had the ball in the middle and he was bringing it forward, but ultimately nothing come of it. So he is getting a 5 as well. And there you go, look, they're the player ratings. Don't forget, by the way, this video is sponsored by the Football News 365 app. You can check out the link in the description down below. Fantastic app, keeps you up to date with all your latest Everton news, scores, updates, all of that good stuff, fixtures, stats, news. So get downloading that through the link in the description. Free to download on iOS and Android and all of that stuff. But yeah, look, another frustrating day at the office, beaten by a much better side today. Not very disheartening, but still frustrating, still annoying, and again, the race for European football isn't by any stretch out the window, but we come up against a team today that we were said to be sort of equal with in terms of that race for European football, and let's be honest, we aren't equal to that Chelsea team whatsoever. So again, it's going to be extremely difficult, but we must dust ourselves off now, put that one behind us and bounce back on Saturday against Burnley. Anyway, big thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out the Instant Match Reaction if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, leave the video a like, all of that good stuff. Leave your comments in the comment section, and yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.